In this presentation, you'll be learning more about the CLAVES scope and sequence, which is a useful document that outlines all the units in the CLAVES curriculum. We'll be walking through the first unit of the CLAVES curriculum, so you get a sense of how the scope and sequence is laid out and how you might use it to guide your instruction. Each unit begins with an introductory cycle 0, which introduces students to the key themes and questions of the unit. At the top of each of these overviews, you will see the name of the cycle and the unit. Underneath, you will see either the unit or the cycle question. Here, because cycle 0 is an introductory cycle, you will see the unit questions: how are humans and nature interdependent, and how do humans affect nature? Underneath, you will find the main teaching objectives for this cycle, including the key vocabulary, the text or video that you will be watching with students, and the morphology that you will be teaching to students. In this cycle, you'll be teaching the prefixes inter and eco. Cycle 0 is followed by cycles 1 and 2, which are your 2 reading cycles. Each reading cycle consists of 6 days. Once again, at the top of the overview, you will find the name of the unit and the cycle, and then underneath, you will see the cycle question that students will be working towards. In cycle 1, the question is, should wolves be reintroduced into national parks? Underneath that, you will see the day-by-day breakdown of this cycle. Days 1 and 2 are your comprehension and vocabulary days, where you will be reading the main text of the unit and introducing some key vocabulary. In days 3 through 5, you will then be reading the supplementary text and then working on the language targets, which will include reviewing the key vocabulary, learning some morphology, and some of the syntax of the cycle. And then finally, on day 6, students will discuss the cycle question, which you will see again in this box. The lessons on days 1 through 5 are broken up into 3 parts. The first part is simply just activating prior knowledge, which will list the different questions that you can ask students to activate their background knowledge in preparation for the lesson. These questions are just suggestions, so if you have a better question that you want to ask your students, you can feel free to modify the questions that you see here. After the activating questions, you will then see the reading objectives for the day. In this reading box, you will see the text that you will be working with, as well as the targeted reading skills that you might be teaching, and again, some key questions that you might ask to help guide your students' comprehension of the text. Once again, these key questions are just suggestions. If you have better questions, you can feel free to ask those instead. And then the last section of each of these lessons will be your language section, where you will be teaching the language targets of the cycle. Typically, days 1 through 3 will be your vocabulary days, day 4 will be your morphology day, and then day 5 will be your syntax day. If there are specific activities that the curriculum asks you to complete with students, you will see that in the scope and sequence as well. This is the scope and sequence for cycle 2. I will not be going over this because the formatting of this is identical to that of cycle 1, but you can feel free to pause this video and look over the scope and sequence for the cycle just to familiarize yourself with what you might be teaching. Finally, each unit concludes with a cycle 3, which will be your writing cycle. Writing cycles differ from reading cycles in that they are only 3 days long, and this is also reflected in the scope and sequence. Once again, you will see the name of the unit in the cycle up top, and this is followed by the writing prompt of this cycle. In Unit 1, the writing prompt is, should humans be responsible for solving problems such as animal extinction and environmental issues? Students will be writing an argumentative essay to respond to this prompt. Underneath the writing prompt, you will then see a box that shows the text that you will be using in this cycle. You will also see the type of text that students will be writing, in this case, an argumentative essay. You will then see a day-by-day breakdown of this cycle starting with day 1, where students will analyze the mentor text and then discuss and identify the audience of their essay. In day 2, they will draft their argumentative essay, and then finally in day 3, they will edit and publish their essay. And that's all for the scope and sequence for Unit 1. I hope this quick walkthrough was helpful for you. If you want to take a closer look at the scope and sequence, feel free to scan the QR code here, or you can visit the link on this slide.